All right, here we are. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Get Out of Your Funk show. I am Sharla Mandare, and I am so excited today to be talking with my guest, Lisa Renee Jones with Lisa Renee Coaching. Lisa's a friend. We've known each other for a while. She is amazing, mom of 3. She is a holistic life and relationship coach. And today, talking getting out of your funk, we're talking all about relationships. Lisa, welcome.
Hey girl, it's so good to see you.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk with you. I miss
Yes,
you.
I know. It's been a couple years, but it's so wonderful how we all keep in touch, no matter
And
where we are.
thank God for modern technology. I can still see your
Yes,
beautiful face. I
it's
love
so
it. So tell me a little bit about how, share with the listeners, the viewers, how you became a life and relationship coach.
Sure, I would love to. So I had spent 13 years in corporate America, and then I got married, and I made the decision after working for 13 years that I did want to be a stay-at-home mom. During those years, though, I was also personally practicing yoga, and I was realizing, wow, this is so good for you. And I was seeing how it took care of me and how it affected the whole family.
Yeah.
And it was during a time, actually, I was pregnant with my second, I believe, that I decided I'd come from a corporate training background that, I need to pass this on. And so I started the certification in yoga and yoga therapy. And so for 16 years, I had a part-time yoga business. And then when the kids got older and they were off into high school, I decided to explore coaching because my husband and I were also doing marriage ministries. So combining corporate work with stay-at-home mom, holistic practitioner, and marriage ministry, I had this great background to become a coach. And that's what led me into the coaching world.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that, you took time to spend time with your family and then took all this life experience and just let's pay it forward. I love that.
Yeah. So when I found the holistic coaching world, because I was living green and I was into supplementation and I was so into the mind, body, spirit, wellness movement, and I was getting so many phone calls anyway. Hey, Lise, what about this? Hey, Lise, what about this? I decided, all right, what are you telling me, God? This is a good direction to go into. So
Yeah.
that's how I got into it.
That's awesome. And so where do you think in terms of our relationships, we're getting right into it. Let's get right into it because
dig in, girl. Dig in.
We got things to do, right? We're busy moms. So when we're talking about relationships, I guess where does it all start? Does it start with your relationship with yourself or where does it, what's the baseline for?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. So what I like to say is really, more precious than gold is health and well-being, because without good health, we really can't do anything else in life. You know this, I know this, we know this from family members, that when something happens to us, the rest of what we do shuts down if we're not healthy. So that is the starting point. So we need to take a look at how is this beautiful? We are an operating system, okay? How is this operating system working? And that's going to be your first direction. Like, where do I want to be in 5 years, in 10 years with what's going on in my life right now? How vibrant am I? How much energy do I have every day? Do I want to still be working? Do I have enough energy to run around with the kids? If it's going to be, the grandparents, am I going to be able to be on the floor and playing with them or going out with them? So it's all these things that we have to take into account. If I'm still working, if I'm in corporate America and I have to fly a lot, how does that affect our body? Because travel is very tiring and exhausting. So there's just so many facets of how am I taking care of myself so that I can do everything else that I'm called to do.
Yeah. Amen. Ain't that the truth? You
Yes.
have to take care of number one, right?
Yes.
And if you're not healthy, you can't take care of anyone else. And that's, I consider healthy, right? Our physical health, of course, but our mental health as well, right?
Exactly.
if we're depressed and anxiety, and that's the whole reason of this Get Out of Your Funk
Yeah.
show, is that the mental health aspect is important as well. And I think we don't spend enough time focusing on that.
Yes. Not at all.
And working on that piece of it as
Mhm.
well. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I was going to give you a number one for Get Out of Your Funk, I would recommend, how much are you spending time outside? So that would be one thing that I would recommend to your listeners, is because of our fast-paced world and our highly technical world now, we've actually lost, how we grew up. We spent a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
As our parents would say, go outside, and we would.
And don't come home until
right,
the street lights come on,
we
right?
would travel. I mean, and now parents are freaked out about kids have to be, where are they all the time? Yeah. And there's not that freedom of exploration or imagination. And so what I see now with the adults that we work with is they've lost almost a sense of fun and adventure. And so I try to remind my clients, okay, simple steps. And when I say, what do you like to do for fun? And they're silent, they can't remember. And then I just try to prompt, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah.
But really, there's so many health aspects to vitamin D and just getting outside and getting fresh air, that for those who say, oh, I don't have time for that, I'm really asking you for 5 minutes just to start. And pick a spot. Do you have a front porch? Do you have a back porch? Just go spend some time, breathe some fresh air, get your, if you like to garden, let's start there. Just start gardening. And then I'd move you into find some local parks. Let's start hiking, get outside, go for walks. And then you get into relationship. Are you going out, invite your spouse and, have those conversations while you're with your spouse, or bring the kids and have a family.
Yeah.
Family.
And that's bingo right there. One of my main messages in working with the clients that I work with is self-care doesn't have to be hours a day of meditating and journaling and taking a yoga class. And 5, 10, 15 minutes a day for you is plenty.
Yeah.
And for most of us, that's all you can fit in your schedule. That's great. And we're not trying to add more to your plate, right? But we're trying to fill it with things that make more sense.
Yeah. And
we spend less time on social media, 5 minutes, swap that 5 minutes with being outside or gardening or going on a walk around the block.
You got it. It's almost like if we could, they don't even recognize how much time is just empty and idle and not serving the body, is what I would say, or serving your life, serving your family, serving those around you. If you actually tracked how much time is idle and not productive, you would come up to that time to serve yourself.
Your phone can do that now too.
Yeah. And that's
your phone can tell you how much time you spent.
Yeah.
Really.
So find and start small. I don't like to take excuses like I'll say, can you give me 15 minutes? Mm-hmm. If you're not doing anything, if there's no movement going on, let alone, going outside, I could just say, can you give me 15 minutes? Yeah, and that's usually an easy chunk to start with. And then the 15 minutes can go, can you give me a 15 minutes in the morning? And can you give me 15 more in the afternoon?
Right.
And just, start that way.
Totally. And as a personal trainer and, a fitness coach as well, like there's research that says you don't have to do a 30-minute workout. You can do a 15-minute and a 15-minute, and it's the same as a 30-minute chunk of time. So people get overwhelmed and I have to take care of myself and do X, Y, and Z. Well, you can break it into these chunks and you're burning the same amount of calories and you're doing, it gets the same benefit. So you can break it into smaller chunks.
To get them out of the 60 minutes. Because everybody thinks if I'm not getting a 60-minute workout in, then it's not good enough. Yeah. And I'm hitting the double nickel this year, and I just feel so grateful that I know what my body needs, and I know that if I only get 15 minutes in, I still got the heart rate up. I got 15 minutes in, and if I get 30, fabulous. And, I can get 30, minimum of 30, 6 days a week. And I know how important that is.
Yeah, totally. And so how does this relationship with ourself and how we take care of ourself affect our other, like, let's look at spouse, maybe in kids, we'll just, right, for time. So like how, if we're not taking care of ourselves, what happens to our other relationships?
Sure. So this is an easy one. So what happens when we're sick, right? Where do we want to go? You just want to cuddle up on the couch. You really don't want to be around people. And yes, women versus men, I mean, we can still multitask. It's hard for women to actually relax and rest when they are not sick. And what we'll see with men is they completely shut down when they're sick, and there's no conversation. And it's like, please take care of me. And so, number one, that's why that health and that vibrancy is so that we can be there for the spousal relationship, number one. Because if we're going to prioritize things, it really should be priority number one is that which is greater. Whichever that is for you, that should be your priority number one. That brings that peace that you and I talk about that is so vitally important.
Yeah.
But your spousal should really be second. And then the kids are third. The job and everything else that we handle, because come on, girl, what are we going to do? 100? Let's list 100 other things we can handle, but you have to prioritize that. So that spousal is next. And if you're not yourself, you're not feeling yourself, we all know what it feels like when we go, I love how you say, get out of your funk, because we're out of balance is what the right term is. We're able to recognize, and that's what I love about doing mind, body, and spirit work, is the body has an innate ability to heal itself. And you start to recognize something's off, and you recognize it really quickly when you don't feel well, when you have this really good relationship with yourself and your body and being in tune with, I'm on, right? I feel great. I feel vibrant. Come on, what's the day got for me, right?
Yeah.
Versus the no.
And do you feel like a lot of relationships go sideways when people put the kids before the spouse? I mean, I feel like that's something that a lot of parents fall into, right? Is like, we're running back and forth between school pickups and drop-offs and soccer practice and play rehearsals and piano lessons and you just get busy and homework and take a shower and please brush your teeth and all the things, right? So
I like to call it two ships passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you're on opposite schedules, right? It's
right, or roommate mode. And that can happen a lot in spousal relationships. So we don't want complacency to set in. That's what I like to talk about. Are you just being complacent that this is the way it is because we have kids now? And that I say no, no fly zone. As women, we still want to be seen. We still want to be heard. We still want to be desired. And actually for men, they do as well, just in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so both of us have to keep our eye on each other. And how are we keeping that a priority? And also, how are we keeping the fire alive? I mean, because keeping that fire alive is part of that, the intimacies that allow us, again, to do what we are called to do joyfully.
Yeah.
And when that fire, as you starts to go down in many different ways, then we're not as into all of our other responsibilities as we should be.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. I haven't ever heard that before in that way before. Mm-hmm. So when you lose, as you say, the fire, that you lose kind of motivation to do other things as well.
And it affects, all of our other responsibilities, because what's happening is that connection of you two being brought together for a reason is going dry, because you don't have your eyes on each other anymore. He may have his eyes on the job in an admirable way, because men are called to provide and support. But you're a big part of what he's working so hard for. The kids are a big part of what he's working so hard for. So that's where they have to refocus. It's like, well, I want to spend time with that which I'm working so hard for, right? And same for us as wives and mothers. You know, we wouldn't be where we are without our spouse. And we have to be grateful for that. And that's where that complacency can also set in. Like, we might get into this mode of, oh, it's just not the way it was. It's not romantic anymore. It's not this. Well, you know what? We all go through seasons of life.
Yeah.
But it's still up to us to step back in and make it the way we want to make it, you know?
Right.
So that's another big point for the listeners is I would suggest it's not what you get, it's what you give. Because when you give, then you get what you desire.
Oh yeah. Right. The way to someone, I mean, with anyone, that's the guy at the grocery store behind the counter, right? Like you, just the kindness and what, you give what you, right? If you show up rude, they're probably going to be like, oh, rude back. Right. And so just moving for the sake of time, moving forward, because I love that. I love giving and focusing on the positive and that, you know, like my husband is incredibly hardworking, insanely hardworking. His hours are long and they're, you know, and it's hard. And it is easy to sometimes feel alone in parenting.
Yes.
But when I look at, he's not out like at bars with friends ignoring us. He's working to provide and, you know, we do this together. And so, you know, yeah, it's good to focus on the positives of it and the things that it brings to the table. Right. And
still
see
come
it
together and share affirm each other in what you're both doing, but also say, but honey, I need some time with you, just you. Yeah. And we need to go out and be together and we need to have fun. And
so like a date night.
Oh yeah.
Scheduling all that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the date nights.
Okay.
Yep. Date nights, you don't have to go out. If you need to have the date nights inside, have the date nights inside. So really that's a no excuse zone. You really need to be focusing on date nights.
Yeah. And so when you have young kids, date nights, and as we said, the fire sometimes can be harder because like, I remember when my kids were little, the fear of being, not that they were going to come walking into the room, but just being called mom in the middle of it. It's like, oh, I know that's going to happen in about, we got 2.3 minutes. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, we'll just wait.
So in that way and in that respect, you know, it's getting a little bit creative. And I know, you know, some people may get uncomfortable when you say, if I said to them, well, you know what, guys, you actually need to schedule it. And they'll say, oh gosh, that takes away from the spontaneity. And I was like, would you rather be having it or not having it at all? And so that's where you guys know a time where you're going to be alone. And just make sure that it is happening. And I know it's difficult with the young ones to say, you know, mommy and daddy are having a special meeting. You know, put the movie in if you have to, and don't disturb us for 30 minutes.
I love you. Oh my God, a special meeting.
Yes.
Grown-ups only.
Mom and dad are having a special meeting, and we really, you know, we just need some quiet time, just like you guys do. So,
and if you hear funny noises, we're watching a movie.
Music on. Get them settled first.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yes. Mom and daddy need to have those special meetings, girl.
But I think in terms of scheduling it too, like you can build that anticipation. Like if you know you're going to get the fire, then you kind of get a little excited about getting the fire, right?
Well,
like tonight's fire night or something.
And that is so true. And you can still do the surprises. Like, you know, when you all talk about your schedules during the week, you can find out if there's a lunchtime available. And that's like a spark. Hey, can you happen to come home at this time? Kids are in school.
Yeah.
There you go. There's some quiet time, and just mix it up a little bit,
We can have a lunch meeting.
Yeah, besides the nighttime only, or,
Right.
sometimes the morning is great too, but sometimes mornings, don't work. So it's such a personal conversation between husband and wife, but it is a very important conversation to continue to have, whether you've been married 2 years or 40 years. It's just that seasons of life and seasons of marriage, but it's vital to keep that. Well, hello.
Zoe wants in the conversation.
Zoe?
Oh my gosh, do you hear that? I don't know. You hear that? So she's learning all this camera stuff. She's new to the family. Okay, real quick. So in terms of relationship with the spouse, how does that affect our relationship with our kids? We got like 2 minutes. So
all right, 2 minutes. So what I like to share is everything that you two are doing are modeling for your kids. And we all know that the kids are sponges, actually, the younger they are. But we cannot forget that the older they get, even though they are separating themselves from us and they may not be as conversational, and this is all the way until they go off to college, they're still watching and they're still listening. So it's vitally important. And if I could share anything with the listeners, it's have the table time. Still try to get the family dinners in. That would be 1. And 2, talk when you're driving them around, because they will converse with you when you're driving them around, especially when they're little.
I've noticed that. Like, when we're driving, that's when they're like, so And I love to, like, I'm kind of the carpool mom one of the days of the week, and I have like 5 middle schoolers in my car, and I get all the gossip of who likes who and who's holding hands today, and they're 5th grade. So who's doing this and who's doing that? And I'm like, I just sit there and I go, oh yeah, he's cute.
Yeah. And the thing is about driving, and especially with girls, is you're looking forward.
Yeah.
And so they don't feel like it's a confrontational type of conversation, but it's still very caring, and they tend to open up a little bit more. And with the table time, you just want to make it a precious time. Again, we don't want to be rushing. The average meal is down to like 5 minutes, which is bad. It's so bad. You want the food to be about 15 to 20 minutes, but you still want to gather and hang out together a little bit after and get that laughter going. And don't always make it like, okay, this is a time to go through our lists. No, it's just a hangout time. But it's all that modeling. So it's so important to model for the kids.
Yeah. And I know that's something like we can work on. Like that's something I can do. But, a lot of times my husband is working during dinner time.
Okay.
So it's just me and the kids.
Okay.
And that's them helping one with the homework, and I've got the other one in the bath, and we're trying to eat, and then it's switch, and know, and so and then when he's home, it's just, well, this is the routine. So don't mess with it, because tomorrow you're back at work and I gotta do this by myself, right? It's survival sometimes. So we can slow down and spend more family meals together, even through the crazy of the dance lessons and rehearsals and games.
So it's really taking a look at that schedule again, and making a point of it, and then you two are coming into agreement and saying, again, with affirmation, honey, I appreciate that you are working so hard, but I was realizing, it's really important that we are together with the girls, and we have some family meals together. You can research the studies on family and how important that time is and table time is, and just make it happen. Even if you start with Sunday brunch, and that becomes like something that the kids will always remember. I don't know about you, but you're going to have some special times when you were growing up that you remembered. So at least you start with that once a week. And, because if we, again, are modeling that life is just go, 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 that's how they're going to grow up.
Right.
So we want to be able to model some of that peace in the house and some togetherness, just because, just to be. That's the greatest challenge, is just be.
So many good tidbits and reminders today, Lisa. Thank you. Like
Okay.
I'm taking notes and doing all the things too. If there's one action step that you can send for everyone listening to put in action, like in the next 24 hours, what would be the action step that you would say to do?
So we've talked about,
We've talked about self-care. We've talked about
so
fire.
self-care is right. Self-care is going to be get outside. That would be my first self-care.
Okay.
Get outside some more if you're not getting outside enough. Spousal relationship is, let's talk about those intimacies. Let's have a conversation about that, because the intimacies, it's not just physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual as well. But that physical does affect everything else. So that's vitally important. And then with the kids, it's going to be like, I need to take a look at how am I modeling our schedules, and probably try to get, where are we on the number of meals that we're having together, and just try to get that better. So if it's 0, get to 1 for a while. If it's 1, get to 3, something like that.
I love it. Baby steps and building from there. That's awesome. Lisa, if people want to learn more how to work with you or more, what's your website or social media? How can they find you?
Sure. So it's Lisa Renee Coaching, and it's lisarjones.com.
Awesome. Lisa R, the easy, and Lisa R Jones, spelled just like it sounds.
www.lisarjones.com. So thank you, Sharla, so much for this time. And if you want to do it again and get more specific on one particular topic,
I'm sure. Yes. It's always so good to talk with you. Thank you. And I can't wait. I can't wait to hear feedback. So if you're listening, if any of this resonated, comment, let us know. And let us, I love to hear. Do you love to hear from people? I love to hear.
Yes, I do. I would. Yeah. Anything you guys want more information on, just let us know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Okay, take care.
Great one.